We're gonna get started. It says I have 3 viewers, but I don't know. I mean, there's me and there's you, and then I don't know who the third one is, but we're just gonna get into it. So, the title is Women, Submission, and Power Dynamics. Now, what prompted me to start talking about this is showing one on my end. Okay. I don't know what that is, and that's weird. I don't know why. Is like Substack messing with my head or something? Like, I don't get it. It's so weird. Okay. Well, anyway, we're just gonna get into it. So, yes, it is a good topic. So, yeah, what prompted me to talk about this today is I have a good friend of mine who she has a client in her in her container, in her community. And without getting into, a whole thing, it was a way that, the client was conducting herself, um based on, it was some sort of miscommunication or whatever, but the way she was responding was as if she was attempting to place my friend who has the community. It was almost like she was trying to place her in a position of submission, right? And so it got me to thinking about this whole thing, excuse me, about submission and domination, and the way women show up with that mindset of, I always say that they're always trying to always say that, because we talk about men and women and submission and blah 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 blah, but I always say that for women, what I've seen is that they tend to want to try and place people, be it men or women, in a submissive position, right? And I say that because when we're getting into these relationship dynamics and these power dynamics, I say all the time that within these types of power dynamics, interpersonal relationship, the one person is always going to be submissive and one is going to be dominant. I don't care what anybody says. People can argue about it, whatever, but there's always going to be one submissive and one dominant. And that's just what it is, right? Now, for women in these types of relationships, because the structure of itself, the way it's set up in this patriarchal system that we live in, it's already set up where a woman's submissive position is implied, right? It's implied. And so, but I also think that the way this thing is set up and the mindset that women have, I find it very interesting, because it's like they talk all day long how they don't want to be submissive, but then they do all of these things to place themselves in that submissive position, right? They will poke and poke and poke at men, and the man that they're with, and do this, do this, do this, and and then even when we're getting into acts of sexual intercourse and wanting to be dick down and all this kind of stuff that they be talking about. So it's like they want to be placed in that position of submission. However, they try to find ways to flip it, right? So on the one hand, they want to be submissive, but then on the other hand, they want to be dominant. So they're trying to find these ways to place men and other women in positions of submission. And with women, a lot of times the way they'll do it is they will come from a place of entitlement. So like they'll think that just because I paid you some money, that automatically gives me access by default to your energy. And so now I can even come at you and I can call you sis and do all this stuff, right? And so what I have found is that you have to be very, very careful with women. You cannot, you basically got to check them. I mean, you have to, because if you don't, they will come at you in that type of mind space, right? So with the aspect of the submission and the power dynamics, what I have also found is that when we're talking about like okay, so we can just kind of give examples of BDSM, right? When you get into BDSM, you're talking about a total power exchange, right? So, and it's usually the man is usually the dom. That's usually the case. And then the woman is the submissive. Or if you have it in the case of a woman who's a dame or a dominatrix, right? And usually her sub or her slave or whatever is a male. He's a man, right? So, but when we're discussing BDSM, because I've always said that most of these relationships between men and women are basically BDSM dynamics. They're all BDSM dynamics. There's always the total power exchange that takes place. And for the most part, it's usually men who want to place themselves in that position under that total power exchange. And so the woman, she wants to place herself in the space of being a submissive. But I say that a lot of times women like to play around with their power, right? So on the one hand, they want to be submissive, and then on the other hand, they want to be dominant. How do they make themselves be dominant? They do it by way of doing everything. I do everything. I do all these things, and I take care of you, and I take care of the kids, and I'm doing all these things, and blah, 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 right? But they're doing that because they want to be praised and worshiped for it. I always say that most women, they're doing all of these things in these relationships and doing all this carrying on that they do is because they just want worship, and they want praise and worship. They want to place themselves in the position of the martyr so everyone will feel sorry for them and worship them, right? So these are the power dynamics that take place between men and women in these relationships, but also between women and other women, right? So, you have like your cliques, right? So when you have your cliques, you always have that one girl, that one Regina George, right? She's the she's the dominant one, and everyone else under her is submissive. Those are her submissive. So Regina George was the dom or the dame, and the other girls, what were their names? I forgot the friends' names. What was their names? I don't remember. But anyway, Regina George was the dame, and the other girls under her were her submissives, right? So women play those dominant and submissive games with each other, and they also do it with men. Now, for men, for the most part, they already come in with this mindset of dominating you. It's already there. It's already embedded deeply within the whatever in their brains or whatever. They already come in with that mindset that they're going to dominate you because you're a woman. They really think that simply because you are a woman, you are to be dominated. And women make it very easy for men to dominate them, right? As I said again, just by virtue of you being in an interpersonal relationship with a man, you are placed in the position of the submissive. But like I said, women play around all the time. They play around with the power dynamics all the time. This is what is not talked about, how they play around with these power dynamics. This is why I say that women are not victims. Now, are there women who are victims of certain abuses and things? Yes. But for the overall general consensus of women and all the complaining they do about these relationships, they're not victims. Most of the times, women are ignoring the red flags because they want to live out their shadow through this man, right? I'm going to ignore the fact that he got 2 baby mamas because I'm going to be the one, I'm different, right? I'm going to ignore the fact that, whatever, he ain't got no job or whatever they be doing with these dudes, right? I'm going to ignore all of that because I really want to live this out. I want to see what happens. There's this curiosity thing that women have, right? And so these are all power plays. These are all going into power dynamics, right? Because you want to position yourself to play around in that world of the world of interpersonal relationship between men and women. You want to play around in that world. You want to see what it's like to be with this man. This is why you got a lot of women who are literally marrying men who are in jail, men who are like they're intentionally going after men who are in jail. They're intentionally like wanting to attract psychopaths. These are all power dynamics. All of this is about power because we live in a realm where that's what makes things move. It's about power. It's not about your morals and, oh, you shouldn't do this. That's not nice. No, this is all about power. And women play around with their power all the time, right? So, I look at how, we see certain things about um, the what I say governing our wombs, right? And there was something I just saw today where they said something about women. I forgot what state it is, but women can't they have to get C-sections, or it was something. It was kind of along the lines of saying that they can't turn them down, or they have to do it. It's not optional. And so I was just like, okay, so here we go again with women allowing men to govern their wombs. What kind of power play is this? Like, what are we doing? You know that you don't have to birth at a hospital, but you're going to do it anyway, right? And then you place yourself in these types of situations, and then you want to get mad because the man didn't act right. He didn't do what you wanted him to do. Why would you do that in the first place? Why would you place yourself in that position in the first place? These are power dynamics, y'all. This is what it is. This is what women are doing. It's power dynamics. They're playing around with power. They don't have midwives. They probably do. I'm sure at some point a woman can, I mean, even if she can't afford it, there's so many, like, you don't have to do that is the main thing that a lot of women don't seem to get. Like, you don't have to have your baby at a hospital. You don't have to. Nobody's saying you have to do that. Like, I know 2 women right now, they had all their babies at home. They didn't go to the hospital, right? So, but these are power plays. You're playing around with your power. You're playing around with your womb. You are allowing the governing and the handling of your womb to somebody else who doesn't even carry a womb. As I say before, time and time again, the womb is woman's work, period. Men don't have no business governing your womb. They should not even be delivering your baby, but I'm not going to get into that. That's another day. I'm not saying they can't do it, in times of like difficulty or whatever. Things happen, situations or whatever. But I'm saying in the general science and spirituality aspect of it, they ain't got no business doing it. That's women's work, right? So at that time, she needs an advocate because it's a very vulnerable position to be in labor at a hospital. Absolutely. So yeah, I agree. Like, I had both my babies at the hospital, right? My second child, though, I had a doula. And I gave the hospital my birthing plan, right? I told them, this is what I want to do. I do not want to be forced to lay down. I want to walk around. I want to move around. I want a room. Like, all of the rooms at that particular hospital, they all have like this huge bathtub in the bathrooms inside the labor and delivery, the room where you are. The bathroom has this huge tub. So I was like, I want to sit in the water. These are the things that I want to do. I don't want to just be forced to just lay on my back going against gravity, right? So I had a doula, and she was so supportive of my birthing plan. And so when she was there, and my husband at the time was there. And and I didn't even get to do everything I wanted to do. And see, that's key when you have these babies at these hospitals. You can go in there all gung-ho about your birthing plan all you want to, but most likely you're not going to be able to do it, right? Because once you walk into those hospitals, that's a completely different jurisdiction. They can do whatever the fuck they want. You think that, oh, it's my baby and it's my body. No, that's a completely different jurisdiction. But I was able to have some aspects of the experience that I wanted when I had my second child at the hospital. So, like I said, I had a doula. She would speak when I was like in the middle of a contraction. She would say, hey, this is what she wants, blah, blah. So it did I'll say my experience the second go round was better than the first one. The first one, I was just like a deer caught in the headlights. I didn't know what was going on. I read, like, what's that book everybody reads? What to Expect When You're Expecting. And I read that, and I went to Lamaze, but I got there. I was like, I took the Pitocin please, that whole first experience was like wild. But the second one was much better, but I still didn't do exactly what I wanted to do. I didn't get to get up and move around like I wanted to, because they kept saying, "Oh, mom, if you move around too much," but I was like, I think I know what's going on inside my body. I think I know. Right. And I remember even my labor and delivery nurse was like, "Oh my God, I've never had a patient like you. You were so knowledgeable about what your body was feeling and what you were doing. Like, you knew when to push. Oh my God." She was just like, and it was so crazy to me because I was like, okay, shouldn't every woman be cognizant and aware of what their bodies are doing when they're pushing out, when they're bringing a soul here? Right. So yeah. So, but anyway, y'all, look, Tiara, you got me way on, girl, got me on another tangent. Let me stick with the topic at hand. But anyway, yeah, so when I say that, women are playing around with these power dynamics, this is exactly what they're doing. So it's so important for women to, like, it's, the conditioning is so deeply embedded that I think sometimes women don't even realize what they're doing because they're so, it's, the conditioning is so deeply embedded in there that it's like I said, I'm doing all of these things. You need to appreciate what I'm doing. You need to, I think sometimes they're not able to speak for themselves. Yeah, that's true. I agree. Um, but I guess for me, I like I said before, I don't treat women as victims, right? Even though they want to be victims, they want to always be like, well, he did this to me and they did that. And no, you you saw what was happening and you still went ahead and did it. You still did it. You still played around in that sandbox over there. You knew what was happening. You saw, he was showing you, and you still chose to do it. Why? But yes, most aren't victims. They often think they're better. I agree with them. That some women just want children, not knowing why or underlings or understand what's to come. I think that one of the power dynamics that women play around with is motherhood, right? He's not behaving the way I want him to. He's not acting the way I want him to act. So I'm going to have his baby, and then that will place me in a position of power over him, and I can get him to do what I want, right? It'll make the relationship better if I have a baby, right? Especially if I have a son. So now we get into the boy mom phenomenon, another power dynamic. We see it all the time on TV shows. Again, I've been talking about The Family Business. That show has had me in a chokehold, y'all. And the part where Junior, his mama, Donna, Lisa Ray, child, don't even get me started on Lisa Ray, y'all. Anyway, I don't like her. I feel like that character she's playing, Donna, is like really her. I mean, most of the characters that actors play, there are some aspects of them within those characters. So that's why it's why it's so easy for them to play those characters, because they identify with a lot of the characteristics of that character, right? They embody it. But anyway, the way she is manipulating and creating the narrative so that way Junior hates his family that basically raised him and loved him and gave him the best life that he could ever have. The way she is taking that and creating the narrative and being completely manipulative is some boy mom shit. And she's doing it just so she can place herself in a position of power. It doesn't have anything to do with her love for her child. It's all manipulation. And this is what these boy moms do. So again, power dynamics. Women are very much in they're very much engrossed in these power dynamics, even when they try to act like they're not. They're always playing around with power, right? But what I also say is that, and more than one thing can be true, many things can be true. As much as women try to play these little games with men, they're never going to win. You're not going to win that game because patriarchy is set up for you, for men to benefit from playing the game, right? And so when women want to play these games with men, they lose. That's why women have to go about this completely different. And that is what takes you into doing the inner work on yourself, diving the abyss, finding out who and what you are at the core, your core essence. Who are you? Who are you outside of everything that you've been told that you are? So because you don't know that, you want to play the game this way, right? I have a friend who agreed to be baby mother number 4. Why does my thing keep doing it? 4 with children 5 and 6, and the man left her a single mother. She blamed his mother because she wanted control of that man. Yeah. So, okay, hold on, y'all. Let me okay. Let me move around a little bit so y'all can still hear me though, right? Let me just 1 second. Need to charge my Chromebook. Hold on, y'all. Don't move. Oh gosh. Okay. Okay. All right. I don't want y'all to see me struggling trying to move the couch around because I had to plug in my Chromebook. So, all right. I don't want y'all to see me struggling over here. Yeah, so okay. So where was I talking about that? Okay, so I was reading your comment. Yeah. Yeah, she blamed his mother because she went, yeah, so this and this is what I'm saying, power dynamics. I mean, and what's a power dynamic we see a lot between the wife or the baby mama and his mama. That right there is a very interesting power dynamic because they both want control of that man. So the mama, she wants to insert herself in the relationship so she can continue to have an influence on him. And then by her doing that, then it affects how he treats the wife, the girlfriend, or whatever, right? So these are power plays that women are always playing. And they're always playing these types of games with these power play, these type of power plays with other women. I mean, we see it all the time with the like how the sisters of the man treats the new wife or the girlfriend, right? So like I was watching, I like to use TV shows and movies to illustrate different points. And so I've been watching Love Story. It's about that. I might be dating myself. I don't know how old you ladies are here, but I like to watch the different documentaries regarding the Kennedys. So right now I'm looking at Love Story with about John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette Kennedy, and the way his sister is treating her. Now, of course, we don't have all of, oh, you said 30s. Of course, we don't have all of the information. How could we, right? We weren't in their intimate settings of their families and their dynamics and all that, but we can only go off of what we've been seeing. But the way his sister Caroline is being sort of dismissive, just sort of basically being a bitch towards Carolyn, his wife, right? And this is again very typical of women, how the sister of the husband treats the new bride or the new girlfriend or whatever. They're always doing these power plays. Now, you being a bitch towards your brother's wife, what do you have to gain by doing that? Like, what is the intent? So the only intent I can think of is that you want to insert yourself in their marriage. And then I have to ask you why. Why are you in their marriage? So this takes me back to the emotional incestuous relationship that men have with women, be it the mother and the son or the sister and the brother. These are incestuous, emotional incestuous dynamics. Another power play, another power dynamic, right? So when I say that women play these games, right? They say they want power, right? But do you? Do you want power? Because in order to obtain that power, that comes with a lot of responsibility. What is the saying? With great power comes great responsibility. And what I'm seeing is that a lot of women, they want the power without the responsibility that comes with said power. So what do? They place themselves in the positions to be like I said, to be very manipulative, um, manipulating, playing those mind games with, with their sons or whatever. But when he takes that and he's being very manipulative and he takes that into the relationship, and so now it's causing some sort of friction or whatever in the relationship with the wife or the girlfriend. Then when the shit goes south, then the mother is like, oh, well, I'm not responsible for that. You a grown man and she grown and you blah, 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 but you've been manipulating him the entire time. So that gives you a sense of power, but you don't want to take the responsibility that came with that, right? So these are things that I see in women, and I see it play out around, just in family dynamics that I've been exposed to, seeing how this thing is playing out. I mean, it's sort of playing out right now within my own family with, I'm not going to say too much because who knows who's watching. I'll just say it's playing right now within my own family. And I'm observing this shit and I'm like, wow, like she is really on some bullshit. This particular person I'm talking about. But it's all about power. And so when I say that women, they want to play these power games with men, they're always going to lose because it's not set up for you to win in that way. Women have to exert their power in different ways, right? And it has to be like, you have to know who you are at your core. I talk about this all the time. You have to know who you are at your core. You cannot play these games under this same conditioning that all women are under, because you're going to lose every time. So you have to understand power dynamics and really understand how that works. Now, when we get into the submission and the dominance and all of those things, like I said, that's a total power exchange, right? And we, like when I say that all of these relationships are just one BDSM ritual, one BDSM dynamic, because it's like, to me, it's sort of like that's on like a smaller scale of what a bigger power dynamic could look like. So we can even look at the BDSM dynamics as a way to study power. You can study power dynamics. I would even venture to say, if you were getting into a relationship of that capacity, to teach you about power dynamics. I don't know why my screensaver keeps coming on. It's like I don't even have it set. I don't know why it's doing that, but it's very annoying. Okay, so I hate that because it throws me off. It threw off my thought that I was having. I'm gonna read some of your comments. Maybe that'll help me out. My friend wanted marriage and did everything to keep him, knowing very well she was the fourth. Yep. I've seen that dynamic too, and think often the sister wants to brother. Yes, that's exactly. And so it's like, okay, what does he have that you want? Right? What resource are you trying? Because that's what it's all about. It's like we always talk about men are trying to extract our resources, but women are always trying to extract resources as well. I mean, okay, at the very base of it, we're human. We need resources, right? And of course, we live in a system where men do hoard the resources, right? But it's not like women don't have any resources. It's not like you don't have access to any resources. So it's like, what is your intent? What are you doing? I really think that it's really just about being a bit of a just wanting to be a bit of a tyrant, just want to fuck with people's head, want to fuck with her head, the new wife or the girlfriend or whatever. I think that that's just what this is. I think that's what women are doing. And I think that they're manipulating their sons so that way they can have access to not only him but to the wife or the girlfriend, right? They want to have access to her mind as well. You know, they want her to keep pushing out babies, so to continue this bloodline. And like, I mean, I really think that this is what a lot of these women be on. And it's not just about him, it's about that other woman. So let's see, my friend. Yeah, that's another thing. And it goes back to what I was saying. She said that my friend wanted marriage and did everything to keep him knowing very well she was a four. Right. Oh my gosh. I saw that again, another type of I saw that same dynamic play out in my family. And I'm like, why do you think he's gonna change for you? Like what is so good about your stuff that's he's just gonna wake up one day and be like, oh my God, you're the best. Let's get married. I don't want anything to do with my baby mamas. I want to be with you and I want to marry you and I want us to be a family. Like, is that what y'all like? Is that it? Is that what you're thinking? Is that what she's thinking? Daniel on TikTok says no one has more energy than a boy mom. She's right. She is absolutely right. I know who you're talking about. Daniela Virgo, right? Yeah, she is absolutely right. Nobody has more energy than a boy mom. Right. The constant manipulation of this man. And he's going to do it because that's my mama, right? That's why I always say that relationship between a mother and a son is very... And I have a son. I'm not no boy mom. I don't fuck with boy moms. I keep my distance. When I see that you are a boy mom, we good. I'm cool. You stay over there and do your boy mom shit. I'm over here, right? But yeah, it's emotional incest. She said they siphon their energy. Yeah, absolutely. So, over here within in my world here in the cipher, right? I don't treat women as victims. I think that most women know exactly what they're doing, regardless of the conditioning. They know exactly what they're doing. Because for you to, I can see making one mistake. You made a mistake. Okay. You learn from it and you make sure you don't do it again. But most of the times, they're going to do it again and again and again. So you know exactly what you're doing. And this is why I don't treat women as victims. I always say the only victims are the children that you're bringing here to suffer. Those are the victims, right? But you're not. You know what you're doing. And that the submission and that's why I said, for a lot of times with women, they're having these babies, having these children with this man because they're trying to figure out a way. If I can get him to submit, then I can have my children be submissive, right? And this is another power play. This is another power dynamic, right? The mother over the children. So now you get to be the dominating figure over those children. So if whatever sort of way you feel like you can gain some sort of power, then you're going to do it. And one of the ways is to have children by this man. Maybe if I have children with him, he'll wake up and he'll act right and he'll do what I want him to do. So then now I can have everybody doing what I want them to do. I can run this. This is what we see in a dysfunctional matriarchy, right? The women are behaving just like the men. The matriarch of the family is very manipulative. She's very like I said, manipulative, very calculating in how she does things, and she's able to get into the minds of the other, women or the men, because she's the matriarch. She's seen as the wise one. We go to her for everything. We ask her for her advice. She's this, she's that. So she takes all of that. That is a very powerful position to be in. So she takes all that and she utilizes it to her advantage by way of what? Being very manipulative, being able to move things around without really being seen, like the puppet master, right? Women love to be in those types of positions. They love it. And a lot of times they don't want to admit to it, but it's like you love that shit. Like you love feeling like you have power and control over this man's mind. You love it. I always want to talk about men having control over women's mind, and men are this and men are that. But women do the same thing and they love it. What did Tupac say though? Men got their game from a woman. Women created this. They started this. It all starts with women, right? But because, again, we live under a patriarchal structure, you can't play the game the same way that a man plays it. You have to do things completely different. You got to play it like a woman. Women are trying to play games like men. You can't do that, right? All of this deplorable behavior and being manipulative and trying to get, like, that's not how you do that. I'm not saying we all manipulate, right? But I'm saying women have to do things differently. I'm not saying don't play the game. We all got to play the game. A lot of times for women too, they don't even know they're playing a game that they don't even know that they're playing. Always say that women are moved around like the chessboard, like pieces on a chessboard, right? Even though the queen is the most powerful piece on the board. Right. She said they soften their energy. The way they're, I think you got a typo. Brown sugar. I was trying to understand what you're saying. You said the way the mom and the way they dismiss. Yeah, okay, the way they dismiss other women's pain. Yes, that's a big one. That's intentional. All of these things, most of these things that women are doing are intentional, right? It's intentional. It's like, okay, I can't stand that. Like, don't act like you don't know what this is like, right? Don't act like you didn't go through the same exact thing. Like, you know what this is like for me. And then I'm coming to you because I want to talk to you. I need some advice or I need whatever. And you're going to sit here and be dismissive and treat me as if I'm just tripping or, excuse me, that's intentional. Again, I was watching when I was talking about John F. Kennedy Jr. and Carolyn Bessette and how his sister was treating Carolyn. Carolyn said to her, I would think you of all people would know what this is like for me, talking about the press and how they're hounding her every move. And instead of Caroline having some sort of empathy or understanding, she's dismissive, right? Because she's coming from a space of, well, I've been dealing with this all my life. And, and I've carved out this quiet, nice life for myself and blah, 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 blah. Okay, but you know what she's going through. You went through it. Your brother went through it. Your mom went through it. You know exactly what she's dealing with. What, because she wasn't born into it and groomed into it, you're not. So what does that mean? So you're not going to have any sort of understanding or even a little bit of empathy for her and what she's going through. She was like a deer caught in the headlights. She knew it was going to be crazy, but at the same time, that doesn't mean that she's supposed to, oh, well, you knew this was going to happen, so you just got to go through that. That's so dismissive. And this is what happens a lot of times. It's like our experiences as women, it's dismissed, right? Whatever sort of relationship issue, whatever you went through, and then you're talking about it to someone because you just need to talk, and they're dismissing it. It's just like, I was watching this video on TikTok, and it was Ken Billions, I think that's his name. And he was talking about, it was a video he had stitched, I guess, or whatever. But it made me think about how when women discuss their relationships, things that they've gone through, whatever sort of terrible relationship they were in and they left, and they're discussing it, right? And then other men will come in there in the comment section and dismiss it. And it's like, well, you don't know what it's like as a woman experiencing a man. You don't know what that's like. If women are getting on here and they're talking about all these experiences that they're having, obviously there's something to this, but it's dismissed. You don't know what it's like for me as a woman to experience a relationship with a man. You don't know what that's like for me. Right? And I think that's the part that's missing. Like, really think about that. As a man, like, you don't know what that's like for me. You're only looking at it from your perspective as how men are. Oh, he's cool. He's, whatever. He's, as long as he's not hitting you. What? There has to be more to this. Can't just, so because he's not hitting you, that's it. He's just, he's a good dude, and that's it because he's not hitting you. Okay. But I mean, come on. We on the struggle bus. We can't get the shit together. The kids don't have access to certain resources. They need this. I mean, come on. But all of that is dismissed. But I expect men to be dismissive. What really gets to me is when women dismiss it. Don't dismiss what I'm talking about. Don't be so dismissive of my experience. Especially when I know that you went through something similar. I don't like that. But again, that is still a power dynamic. That's still a power play, because when someone is doing that, they're placing themselves to be above you. Oh, I'm going to be very dismissive about what you're talking about because I didn't go through that, or I went through that, but look at me. I'm blah, 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 blah. And you're just this whatever, so I'm going to be very dismissive of what it is you're going through, right? Power play is very manipulative, and it's very, it's almost like gaslighting, because you're talking to me as if I didn't just have this really horrendous experience. You're being very dismissive as if it's nothing. And it's just like, oh, right. So you're trying to make me question my own reality. Well, maybe it wasn't that big a deal. Maybe I am tripping. So this is where we get into women ignoring their intuition. No, it was a horrendous experience. It was a really terrible thing that you went through. And that needs to be acknowledged. But the person who has to really acknowledge it first is you. And you have to be okay with the fact that people are going to be dismissive. Right? But you can't ignore what it was like for you. You can't ignore anything that comes up for you, even if you've been out of this relationship for a year or two. When certain things come up for you, a lot of times, especially if you haven't done the work, a lot of times those things are going to come up. Certain things are going to trigger it, right? And you have to be very well aware of that. So none of those things should be dismissed. Everything is happening for a reason. There's a root cause for everything. You're triggered by this particular thing for a reason. Just because you're not in the relationship with him anymore doesn't mean it still doesn't have an effect on you some kind of way. It's still affecting how you make decisions. You're still seeing the world through his lens. That's power. He still has power over you. right? So, and I always say, if it ain't that man, it's that mama. A lot of women, a lot of times for us women folk, it's our mama that's in our heads. We be 30, 40 years old, and our mama's still in our hair from when we were 10, when she told us, oh, you doing too much, girl. Oh, you not gonna be able to do that. Oh, whatever, right? And you 30, 40 years old, you got kids of your own, and something will happen and it'll trigger that thing that your mom said to you when you were 10. That's power. Our mothers are our first handlers. Oh, no. Right? She's our first dom. Your mother's your first dame. Right? Yo. She's your first dame. I was dealing with someone that triggered me so much. Turned out that he was a liar. Yes, you're right. Yes. Yo, I'm getting ready to post that. Y'all better not post that. If anybody posts that, you better put my name underneath it. You better quote me. If I don't do it first, because I'm definitely getting ready to post it. Yeah, absolutely. So these things are all power dynamics, y'all. It's all power play, because this whole thing is about power. But you got power over yourself. You got to do that work. How you going to exert power in any other area of your life if you haven't done the work on yourself, if you haven't grabbed a hold of the power that, that inner voice has that's telling you, oh, you know what, you should do that. I don't think that's a good idea. Nah, you tripping. Oh, no, he good. Go on and get with him, girl. Do that. Like, you need to gain control and power over that, right? It's you. It's who you are, right? So how are you going to exert power over and authority over your own life if you haven't done that work? You got to do it. So let me just segue. In my coaching, the one-on-one coaching, we get into these things as far as like the inner authority, tapping into the power, the core essence of who you are, so you can start to create the life that you truly desire after coming out of this relationship or marriage. That's what we deal with, right? I do offer a free coaching session to give you an idea so we can kind of see where you are, right? So if you want to take advantage of that, I suggest you do. Any of you ladies in here that have not done that, I suggest you do it. Everything is in my Stan Store. Stan Store is in the link in my bio here. But I do offer a free coaching session, free 45-minute coaching session, so we can kind of see where you are, get a little bit of a strategy going on. I also have Ask Me Anything. You get 3 questions, 2 questions. And I will respond to you in 48 hours. You got to give me at least 48 hours. And I'll respond to you by way of voice clip or video. That's an excellent thing to take advantage of if you're still not sure what you want to do. Maybe you got a few questions, right? And I mean, you could ask me. There's no, you can ask whatever. There's no filter as far as like what you want to ask. So that's definitely something to take advantage of. It doesn't cost a lot. The Ask Me Anything is very affordable. And then, like I said, I have the free coaching session. So if you have not been to my Stan Store, go visit my Stan Store, see what's going on. Also, and I'm still working on some other offers for you ladies. I have a lot of exciting things coming up. Also, starting my community. Now, this is going to be good because the way I'm talking about power dynamics, we're going to get into that heavily in the Cypher community, because we're going to be getting into dark psychology, Machiavellianism, and how you can utilize these things in your own life so you can create the life that you desire, right? We're going to get into all that stuff. And so my goal is to launch that this Friday. I'm still working on some things since I have a lot of stuff that I'm going to be putting in there. You guys are going to enjoy. If you come into the Cypher community, I'm going to have so many great things for y'all. It's going to be awesome. And webinars, I'm going to be teaching on some things, modules, initiation, an initiatory process that you're going to go through. It's going to be really good. It's going to be so good and speaks to that inner core of who you are. It's going to help with learning who you are, getting into that, regulating the nervous system. Now, I normally do that. That regulating the nervous system is just an ongoing thing within the work with me. So even if you're doing it by joining the community, or if you're doing it by getting into my one-on-one 4-week container, if you're doing it, just however you're working with me, these things are going to take place. I have the audio installation to help you reinstall that inner authority that you've outsourced out to everybody, especially your mama or that man. So I'm still laughing at that though, y'all. That's crazy. Your mom is your first time. Yo, I think women need to know what they want and speak up. Yes. So that's that blocked throat chakra. Your throat chakra is blocked. And most of us women, most of our throat chakras are blocked because we've been so conditioned to shrink ourselves. Don't say anything. Just, be quiet and go along with things, right? So, yeah. So anyway, those are my offers. And like I said, if you want to get started, first of all, with the free coaching session, we can do that. And, go to my stand store. I have some other things on there, but I still have some more things I'm going to be adding. And like I said, my goal is to get my community started on Friday, to launch it on Friday. So I'm working on it, working on some things. So I already have one of my clients. She's ready to go. She's ready to join the community already. She told me today, she's like, okay, what's up? What we doing? So I was like, it's coming. We'll see Friday. So yes. And it is a monthly subscription. It's affordable. And I think that's it. I had a lot of fun with you ladies today talking about power dynamics. I hope you enjoyed it. It was a little light, got into some stuff, but it was a little light, a little comical at the end, right? So I hope you enjoyed it. I'll be back next Wednesday. Wednesday is my day to go live. And like I said, all of my, yay, I'm glad you loved it, brown sugar. Glad you loved it. So if you want to work with me, my link is in my bio. And that's it. Go to my stand store, see what I got going on, and get on my list. So that way, when I launch the community, you'll get the notification. So, all right, ladies, I will see y'all next week. And you have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day.